What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today we're going to be going over my new EDC that I unboxed yesterday. This is the Spyderco Manix 2 in all black and S30V. I wanted to kind of explain today why I chose this one, and I've already done a video on a Manix 2, that Knifeworks exclusive in 52-100 steel. I don't know, we might cover everything again. I'm just going to kind of wing it like I usually do. We're a little bit lower here on the console today because there's a glare this morning, and I don't want to make everybody deal with that. So obviously I'm not carrying the Hinder XM18 today, so I asked Rob if I could borrow his 0562 for a size comparison. So there you've got it. A lot of beauty right there. I've owned both of these knives, specifically the 0562 and the 20CV, or back then it was the M390 model. I don't know why I ever got rid of that. But these are two major EDC champions right here. You could say I hopped on the bandwagon and just got these, and yeah, definitely I did. But that certainly doesn't change the fact that these are some of the greatest everyday carry folding knives out there for the money you spend on them. So I'm just want to take a sec to appreciate these two side by side because they are just beasts. Anyways, let's go ahead and move that one out there. The Manix is actually, well, I've got that one there. The Manix 2 is not quite as long. The true specs of the Manix 2 are 8 inches overall. The ZT is actually 8.25, exactly the same as the Hinder, though the ZT does not have the forward choil like the Hinder, so you get a full 3.5 inches of cutting edge, whereas the Manix is only about 3 inches of cutting edge because of that forward choil. We'll talk about that. So blade to handle ratio in the Manix is, I'm not going to say bad, I'm going to say different, because I disagree with what people say about that. Anyways, so here was my thoughts. And there are a lot of people out there like me. You get a knife and then you graduate to a better knife and you graduate to a better knife, and you either start out as a user or you start out as kind of a collector. And or maybe you kind of change from one side to the other. But what happens is as you graduate into a more expensive knife, you have this idea that it's going to be amazing for all these different things, and you're going to just use the crap out of it and blah blah blah. And then you get it, and then you just baby it, and you don't use it. Some people don't do that, but I do that. And then once I graduated to the M390 version of this guy right here, and I got my hands on that carbon fiber and that sweet satin blade where you could see the grind lines. I was like, no way, I'm going to baby this thing. And that set off this trend where every time I would hunt down a new EDC, I would get it and go, this is way too nice to use. And I kept doing that all the way up, through 60, 70 knives and multiple Hinders. And I ended up with that titanium Hinder that I generally show on the other videos. And I carry that one, which is outside of the normal for what I usually do with a Hinder. Usually it just sits at home and I look at it and enjoy it. Told myself I was going to carry it, and I did, and I still don't use it. I just, it's a $625 piece of pocket jewelry that's capable of all these amazing tasks, and I don't really use it for anything outside of opening letters and cutting some twine or some banner string here at the dealership. So I thought, you know what? Here's what you need to do. You've handled a ton of really, really good knives, stuff that's within the realm of what the educated knife world considers to be a great EDC, and stuff that's kind of bizarre and off the wall, and it's neat, but it may not be a super functional cutting tool. So you know what to get, and so I thought, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a production version of an incredible everyday carry knife that's not, in my terms, which is different for everybody, not an expensive one, but good enough to have what's considered to be premium materials, great functionality, great ergonomics, dependability, etc. And so I decided on the Manix 2, and here's the thing. Aesthetically, I find Spyderco's to not be pleasing. That's the truth. I don't like how Spyderco's look versus other knives. I kind of, I like the straight lines of like a Terzola, or what's another good example? The 0452 is a very pleasing knife to me. I really like those straight classic looks. What's that? Applegate Harsey, that custom that is very military dagger looking. I'm really into that aesthetically, but it doesn't always work, when if you have gloves on and you're really bearing down on a knife, or maybe you don't have gloves on, you're just trying to hang on to it. The Manix, holy cow, you're not going to lose that thing. How Nick Shabazz puts it is, if you work in the Vaseline factory, then you're not gonna lose this guy here. So I appreciate it in that fashion. It also has G10, which is my favorite, and peel ply G10 for that matter. So big fan of that. The leaf-shaped blade, I don't know that I really need to go into why that cuts so well, but it starts out pretty thin. This is only a 0.3 stock, and then it's very wide, so it drops to a very, very fine cutting edge. And S30V, no issues there. I mean, yeah, that was invented or brought to light by Chris Reeve, and if you're familiar with the Sebenza, then Chris Reeve knows what he's doing. Father of the frame lock, etc. So I like S30V. You kind of see it in a lot of stuff now, but I think people forget that CPM S30V is a very premium, well-rounded steel, and it's more than suited for everyday cutting tasks. It can handle a wide range of light to heavy cutting. So that coupled with, and here's why I went with the DLC coating. It was $20 more in the Manix, so 110 versus 130. So this is a $130 knife. And that black coating, I understand it's going to scratch up. It's not going to look good over time. I'm not actually a fan aesthetically of black coating, so it should make me more. Oh, it should keep me in the zone of wanting to use it. Because I don't appreciate the aesthetics as much as, say, a shiny stonewashed satin blade. I wouldn't want to put scratches on this, even though it's stonewashed, but I wanted to keep myself away from that. So I did that. On top of that, it keeps the necessity of maintenance down. I'm not saying that you shouldn't maintain a DLC blade, but this is already a stainless steel. And with a coating on there, I'm not going to feel obligated to go run in and oil it all the time. Every time I, cut a piece of paper with it. I won't need to do that. Obviously, I'm still going to maintain it and take care of it, but I'm not going to feel obligated to do that all the time. So really, it's the combination of the G10, the ergonomics, the blade shape, the way that the blade functions and glides through material, the steel, the black coating, and most importantly, the fact that this is not a special version of the knife. The Manix 2 is always, or the Spyderco line is always hard for me, because I look at them and I'm like, I should just get a regular one, so I beat on it. And then at the last second, I buy some sprint run, and then it gets here, and then I love it too much, and I don't want to use it, and then I fall into that same hole where I'm like, well, if I'm not going to use it, I might as well trade it for something I am going to use, and then the whole cycle starts over. So not this time. This is a user. I'm going to use this thing. I love Benchmade's Axis Lock, but I love this better. This is just a more dependable system. Though I wish these were made out of metal. I'm okay with them being made out of plastic. So here's the other thing that I really like about this one. Ricky's has the steel the cutouts in the liners, and this one, see if we can get in there. No milling. So this is a full weight Manix, 5 ounces. Here's how you can tell online, guys. The ones that are G10 that have the milled liners will weigh around 4.4 ounces. The ones that have the full liners will weigh 5 ounces. Now, I don't know how they differentiate between which ones they decide to do with the milled out liners and which ones they decide to do with the full liners. But I did start to notice that there's a little over a half an ounce weight difference between the two. And here's why I wanted the full liners. It's not because I think that it's stronger. It's because I agree with the maker's reasoning behind that. If you're really going to be out using this thing really, really hard, with the idea of keeping the maintenance up on it, then gunk that gets inside those millings just becomes kind of a pain to get out of there. You can still get it out, you use some compressed air or something like that. But it's a lot easier for me to just take a, a cloth or something and run it in there and just run it all the way through, and then all the lint gets out of it in one swipe. Or if I do decide to blow it out, it all comes out of there, So I'm happy with that. I don't believe that it's any stronger than the one with the milled out liners. And I know there's going to be some people eventually think, well, why didn't you go with the lightweight one? The truth is I just don't like how FRN feels. I'm sure that the structural integrity of it is just fine, and I know that people like that. I don't like how cheap it feels, and I also don't care that it shaves 2 ounces off the weight. I just don't care about that. It's not a big deal to me. So all of those reasons. Oh, I just love this so much. I can't wait for it to break in. Ricky's is broken in where he can just, pull this and it free falls. Not mine, not yet. It's got to break in. I used to want to immediately oil these like right when I got it and trying to get it to smooth up that way. But here lately, I'm more of a believer in letting things take their natural course to get it to smooth up, like those other videos you see online. Just let, the factory tolerances break in the way that they're supposed to, and it'll smooth up, So I'm going to do that and kind of, I'll probably do a little log of this, every month or two, and just kind of show how it's holding up. And I'm going to do that, but my plan is to really make this thing look like a user. And watch here in a month or two, and I show it again, and it's almost exactly as perfect as it is right now. But really, my plan is to use it. So I'm super excited about this, and I can't say enough good about the Manix 2. If you are somebody who's looking for a really nice knife and you're wanting to spend in that reasonable range between $100 and $150, that's kind of the sweet spot in my opinion. You can go, if you want to get a great knife up to 200, let's call it 1 to 200. That's a great range if you're looking for a dependable quality cutting tool that's made in the United States. A lot of good choices in that range. But if you've glanced at if you've glanced at Spyderco and you've looked at the Paramilitary 2, you've looked at the Manix 2, the Endura, the Delica, the Native 5, how many flagship models can I name? And you think, God, those are ugly. Those are weird. When I hand this off to people, they say, it's okay. I don't really like that hole there. There is nothing on this knife that is for show. Every last line, every groove, every contour, everything about this knife, the blade shape, the hole, is designed all business, all function, no frills. This is a cutting tool that's meant to be efficient, easy to get out of your pocket, easy to deploy, easy to use, easy to put away. And I mean, everything is so perfectly thought out. Spyderco's clip is my favorite clip that exists. I could care less about deep carry pocket clips, but this giant groove for your finger when you're pulling it out of your pocket just makes it so easy. Yeah, Peel Ply G10. These white flakes. Look at me already trying to baby it. Peel Ply G10 will tear up your pockets, but hey, this is a work knife. I'd rather it tear up my pockets and be easy to hang on to than be slippery and keep my pockets intact, because for the most part, it's going to be in jeans. Well, no, it's going to be in my khakis too, because I'm going to take it to work. Probably going to scare some people in this configuration. You pull out a black tactical looking knife like this, and yeah, it's going to bother some people, but it's just, there's no getting around that. They are still putting red Loctite on these, so if you buy one of these with the intention of taking it apart, good luck. You heat up the pivot and the body screws with a soldering iron, and use a hair dryer before you do that. These are not friendly to take apart. Bring up Nick Shabazz again. You watch his video where he takes it apart, and that lanyard holds pin, so you're not really going to get that off there without damaging the scales. You might, I don't know. And inside here, once this scale is off, that bearing just wants to go flying out there. So I would recommend just not taking it apart. Just leave it. Use it the way that it's intended to be used, and then if you have an issue, then your warranty's still intact. But the Manix 2 at the moment is my vote for the true, best reasonable EDC knife, all things considered. Everything that I went over, including cost. And you might be asking, well, how can you say that, if you love the XM18 so much? I put that in a different category. the XM18 for what I use a knife for and where I work and what I do every day is kind of overkill. And I own it because I love it. I love that it's, its theory of use. I love it for aesthetic reasons and, the materials that I can get it in. It certainly is capable of doing what it's advertised to do, and it's an exceptional knife. It's just kind of overkill for me, and because of the amount of money that I spent on it, I always hold back, and I don't want to do that. But I don't want to get rid of the knife either. I love it, so it's still going to be on rotation, and maybe one day I'll be brave enough to press that beautiful M390 Harpoon Spanso blade into some rough material. But until that day comes, the Manix 2 I think is better suited. The main reason I had to do this is because I've got a whole bunch of home projects I'm going to be doing through the spring and summer. We're building an awning in my backyard, and we're going to try and build a play set for my son, and just do some other things and fix up the art. And I really want a knife that I can use and not really throw around or beat on super hard, but that I can just use and not have to take time while I'm doing something to stop and go, is there dust on it? Oh, do I need to clean it? Do I need to oil? The Manix 2, you can just use it. I mean, these are tough as nails, and they're built so well, and you can do that. So that's the reason that I went with this knife, and I'm very happy with it. I've been playing with it and just enjoying it again. I owned the standard version a while back, and I babied that one. And I said it, if you go back and watch the video on the 52-100 Sprint, I said it at the end of the video. I said, this is probably my favorite EDC of all time, and I could probably make a case for this over the Hinderer. And after the video, I watched that, and I thought, I said that without even thinking about it. It just came so organically, and I got to thinking about it. I went back over to Ricky, and I said, can I hold that again? And held it and played with it, and I was like, why did I ever get rid of this thing? This is such an amazing knife. And I pretty much made the decision right then and there, I'm going to get one again, and I'm going to use it. Very, very happy with this one. I am going to show at some point my top 5 favorite everyday carry knives that are within that $100 to $200 range. And I think that'll be some enjoyable content. So I'll show you what I think in terms of what I've actually handled and used a little bit. Hopefully that'll provide some good entertainment for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. If you're curious, I requested from Blade HQ, I said, can you please make sure it's centered? And just like all the other Manix 2s I've ever seen, it's just slightly off-centered to the left, which isn't a big deal, because over time as the knife breaks in, it actually should pull right. It's when it's off-centered to the right that it's an issue. So no big deal. It doesn't rub. There were no marks on the DLC whatsoever. The DLC came perfect. And if you're curious, the difference between a high-end DLC and a low-end DLC is these Spyderco knives especially are using a tungsten-based DLC coating, which I believe, I'm going to quote thread on Blade Forums, the DLC coating on these Spydercos runs about 80 Rockwell, which is bonkers. The Rockwell of the blade is probably somewhere 59, 60, something like that, and that's pretty hard steel. So if you do get marks on the DLC, it's actually, unless you've really been pounding on it, it's actually more likely that it's the pulverized material of whatever you were cutting ground against the DLC than it is actually scratching through the DLC. So you'll find that you can actually clean that off pretty easily. But black DLCs mark up. They're super tough, and they do provide added corrosion resistance to whatever steel you choose. So that's pretty much it for today, guys. Just wanted to gush about the Manix 2 and just go on and on and on about how much I love it. Oh, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful, easy-to-use knife. So functional, so ergonomic in every position you could imagine. I mean, look how your hands just melt into that. Upside-down grip for you stabby folks out there. Not implying anything, I'm sure there's that has some utility sense to it, but the point being that it really is ergonomic in every hand position. So thanks again so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. I love seeing likes on my videos. You don't have to, don't feel obligated. And if you enjoy the Manix 2 or you don't enjoy the Manix 2, I love reading comments. I'm really appreciative of the guys that have been commenting here over and over again. I really like talking with you guys, so thanks for doing that. And if you would like to check out my other content, I do have some cheaper knives that I do and don't like, and some more expensive knives as well. So check those out. And if you enjoy all of that, and you like hearing me talk for 20 minutes, then please subscribe to my channel because there's definitely more to come. Thanks for watching and have a great day, guys.